what I find interesting, I want to look at we've got some polling that came out before the actual results of the election in New York's third, and this is relevant. I mean, I guess it tightens obviously the Republicans' lead in the House, but this is really relevant about like what we're going to hear about in terms of these narratives. Now, the irony is that the reason why, or a lot of people think the reason why New York's third was held by a Republican until George Santos was shown the exit. And also why they lost other elections in 2022, where Democrats in every other state, short of California, had done quite well, was twofold. One was there was no impetus to activate opponents of the reversal of Roe v. Wade. In other words, people who support abortion rights. But also this Eric Adams dominated crime and immigrant narrative sort of took sway, and it essentially energized right-wing voters. And there was nobody out there energizing center to the left voters, essentially, more or less, Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah.
And let's listen. I want to show you this I guess it's just a written quote of Chuck Schumer following this election. Can you pull that up, Bradley? This is Chuck Schumer. Do we have it?
Yeah, it's up here. I can read it here.
I got it too. It is Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer called Trump's rejection of the border legislation a gift for Democrats and said they plan to constantly over the next year remind voters that it was Republicans who torpedoed the deal. And he says the strategy has already paid dividends, with Democrat Tom Suozzi, who campaigned on tougher border enforcement, winning a special election in New York this week, flipping a House seat away from Republicans. Schumer said the race in his home state of New York says something very significant, that border is no longer the province of Republicans. This is so gross, and also just in many ways a fiction. Like this is what put up the poll. This is I think it was a Siena poll.
Aaron from Queens put this up. Twitter account. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, if you look at this poll, addressing the influx of immigrants is the first question, and Mazi Pilip had a 9% advantage there over Suozzi. But Suozzi had a 9% advantage over Pilip in protecting our democracy, and then a 10% advantage on Congress working more effectively, a 23% advantage when it came to abortion rights, and then Israel, policy, Pilip had a 3% advantage. I mean,
I think, the Democrats are so strikingly out of touch. They really make it hard to do any kind of lip service for them. And I don't mean even for them just for your own benefit, because again, what the alternative is, but they make it hard because they always somehow arrive at the entirely wrong conclusion, because that shouldn't tell him that they should now use this. They've been delivered a gift because they can use this to argue, oh, look, we were the ones they torpedoed the deal. With that, if anything, I think that kind of works against them, because I think what it says is, as much as Democrats are constantly willing to tap dance for the right and embrace and just lean over there and embrace whatever the right wing wants to do, the right wing has no business on doing business with them, and they just waste time and energy and don't get anything done by not actually appealing to the needs and wants of the people that are voting for them. And on their voter base, they insist on moving right to their own detriment, is what that would tell me. One.
Well, and I mean, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm gonna go. You go.
Yeah, it's just it's the fact that they're drawing conclusions from this one special election in the most specific circumstances possible. That this was George Santos's former seat. This is a district that leans right already on Long Island.
I was like, are we gonna talk about Long Island? Are we gonna talk about Long Island?
It's also it has parts of Queens, and then that part of like the North Shore of Long Island. I'm pretty sure it's close to where like Sean Hannity lives out there. James Dolan lives on the North Shore of Long Island. It might be in that district, but close. Like,
if you go to deep Long Island, they start looking at you like they look at me in Ohio. Okay,
no, I trust me. I know
Like,
that area a bit, and like that is not the kind of district that says things about the general direction of where you should go for the country. It's quite the circumstances are quite specific, and the district is incredibly wealthy and specific.
And they know that, but they know people don't know that. The thing about New York City is, to the rest of the world and the country, it's just New York City. It's not no New York State, right? So they think because New York City, these boroughs, this city is so blue and progressive and diverse and yada yada. They don't forget that everything around it is not, okay.
But I mean, even with that said, if you're writing this article, if you are Chuck Schumer, if you are what you look at is, it seems to me, is two numbers. One is he had a 23% advantage on abortion. Like, that is astonishing. There is no other thing that is even close to that.
Yeah.
And this is a huge advantage. So you fight on that terrain. The other thing is that he had a 1 percentage point greater advantage for making Congress work more effectively for the American people. It doesn't matter if you have a 9% advantage in a conservative district on immigration if those same people don't believe that you can do anything. And so the idea isn't you're running on immigration, you're running on the fact that this Congress has passed half of what the last most unproductive Congress did up until for 200, for 100 years. Yeah. This is the most unproductive Congress ever. And you can run on that. And then there's also a Pew piece out there that says that Democrats' disapproval of U.S. handling of border hits the highest point of Biden's tenure. And again, this is because they don't like what he's doing from the left.
Yeah.
Like, the Democrats don't like that border proposal. And so trumpeting the border, the idea that like Democrats now know how to secure the border, is just, it's stupid. It's leadership, and it's doing things.
You're absolutely right. But what I think it is honestly, I think the Democratic Party is bad as an immigrant. The Democratic Party is bad on immigration. They don't care about immigrants. They're not any progressive champions of immigrants. They never have been. No one is in America. Like, that's just not the case. The Republicans are worse. This I know as an immigrant. But what I'm saying is, the Democrats are, because they're already bad on immigration. If they can try to convince people in their minds, and in their minds they want to win over the right rather than win over their own voter base, they insist on that. And that's a whole nother conversation for establishment Dems' deep desires for another day. But what I think it is they're already bad on immigration, and what the Republicans want is to be worse on immigration, right? That's the narrative is being painted, is that being good on immigration is to be the worst you can possibly be on immigrants. So if Democrats could convince the populace of something, that this is the kind of immigration policy we need or what we should be doing, then they would get praised for what they're already doing. They're already being bad on immigration, then they get to herald that. Versus abortion, they have to do something. There's something affirmative they now need to do. What you already established is the majority of the country has never been in support of overturning Roe. The majority of the country supports abortion rights to some degree. And so that would require them to now do something, right? In their minds, the conversation is going to be that Roe was lost under them and they now need to do something, or they failed to do something. And so they don't like that narrative. And they think they're wrong. I think there's a lot of evidence to show that that's misguided, but they think it'll be easier to convince all of us, like, no, we're not weak on immigration. We do terrible things on immigration. You like that. So I think that's what's happening. But I think it's wrong. It's going to cost them huge. And I don't know how they don't know. I don't know how they're not seeing the nosedive, like Joe Biden is taking just off Palestine and everything, and thinking, let's be worse. I don't know why they're not seeing it, that the current country, this new crop of voters, doesn't feel the way the boomers did. I don't know what to tell them.
It's because Morning Joe has essentially just regurgitated every knock on the Democrats you have just made is exactly what this former Republican congressman who came in during the Contract of America era with Newt Gingrich. He was part of that Newt Gingrich revolution. They listened to him.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's absurd.